Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting and Committee of the Whole meeting. Happy Tuesday to you all. For those of you who enjoyed the punchkis today, I want to dabble around the corners there, I can tell. Bob, any punchkis? Stuff will kill you, man. It's like... Again, good evening and welcome. The meeting is called to order. We kindly take the roll call. Madam Clerk, make it work.
Bruno.
Here.
Burkhardt. Here. Ruby. Caven.
Here.
Kilberg.
Here.
Kasarag.
Here.
Maladra.
Here.
Marks.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Swanson.
Here.
Our colleague and friend Miss Ruby is ill this evening, so she'll be taking the night off. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to invite our friend from the Geneva Public Library District, Miss Maxwell, to please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, our first presentation tonight is from our friend Lauren from the Geneva Public Library District, who's going to share with us some information regarding the Geneva Library's One Book, One Community program. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for putting me on the spot to see if I remembered my third grade Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, you did well.
Thank you. I am Lauren Maxwell from the Geneva Library. I am our Information and Reader Services Coordinator at the library, which basically means I hang out with our adult services floor quite a lot. We organize a lot of discussion groups and book clubs, and our major initiative this month is our One Book, One Community program. There, somewhere along the way, should be a little flyer that gets distributed to you all so that you can see all of the great events that we've got coming up. We have a whole series of events that are centered around the whole community reading one book all at the same time. So instead of a simple book club, we're inviting everybody in the community to read the same book at the same time. We know that our littles and our grown-ups generally find different things interesting. So this year we have a selection for kind of upper elementary age students as well as for adults. Everybody should have gotten a copy here on City Council of both books. If you've already picked up a book, please find a friend who would enjoy the book. If you would like to read the kids' book yourself, it is wonderful and I wholeheartedly recommend it. But you can also give it to a kiddo that might enjoy it as well. This year's selection for adults is called Remarkably Bright Creatures. It is my favorite book that I read in the last couple years. When we were looking for a book, we were looking for something with community themes, and we were explicitly on the hunt for something full of joy. And this book meets all of that criteria. It is about an older woman named Tova of Swedish descent, so props to Geneva on that one. She is kind of at loose ends. She recently retired, she's looking for something to do, her husband has recently passed away, and she takes a job cleaning the local aquarium at night, where she meets an octopus that keeps escaping from his enclosure. She saves him because he gets stuck in a power cord. I'm not giving much away, it's all in the first couple chapters. But they become unlikely friends. So that is our theme for this year, is unlikely friendship. Finding friendship in unusual and unexpected places. Over the course of the book, you meet a whole new cast of characters. They're all fantastic and wonderful. We've got a Scottish grocery store owner, and we've got some eccentric aunts. We've got a group of knitters called the Knitwits, which are pretty fantastic. But each of these people all care for one another in unique and exceptional ways. There's a little bit of a mystery along the way. You get to find out what has happened and how all these people are ultimately connected. But it's really a story of having all of those connections really enrich your life and finding new ways to move forward. I hope you all get a chance to read it and enjoy it. particularly before March 10th and 12th, which are going to be our finale programs this year. We've already kicked off. We've already given away more than, I think, 900 books, thanks to a donation from our friends of the library. But on March 12th, our author, Shelby Van Peltz, is coming to visit the library. Our library foundation has sponsored that event. If you open up this lovely little brochure, you'll see our event listed right down there. We are starting at 1:30 on Sunday, March 12th. Shelby is actually local. She lives here in Wheaton, and we're very excited to invite her to the library for a bit of conversation and a few audience questions. She'll be available to sign books, so hold on to that book and we'll bring the Sharpies. And we are just really excited to invite everybody to come and learn more about her process and how she created such a lovely, wonderful book. If you are more of a participatory sort, then we are doing a community book discussion on March 10th, which is in that little green box at the bottom on the second page. We will be doing a local celebrity panel. Our library director will be on that panel, as will our city administrator and a few other guests. We're very excited to have a discussion of all the themes that are found in that book. So even if you don't have a chance to finish it, as long as you don't mind some spoilers, we would love to have you at our community discussion. I could talk all day about books. I think you all have kind of figured that one out. We also have that children's book. It's The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. It's fantastic. It's a book that's probably about 10-ish years old. There have been a couple sequels since, and there's another sequel coming in a couple months. So we're hoping that our kiddos will get really excited about that. We're throwing them a book party on Saturday, March 11th to celebrate reading that book. Are there any questions that I can answer for you all?
Open the floor to questions from the dais or comments. Ms. Burghardt.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I just want to say you picked a great book because I've already gotten quite a few texts from book-loving friends urging me to register for the author's visit. So there's a lot of excitement about her coming to the library.
We are really, really excited to have her. She's been visiting a handful of other libraries in the area, but this, I think, is her first super major event of the season. So we're very excited to have her.
I can't wait to start it. Thank you.
Anyone else? You never share the name of the octopus.
Oh, Marcellus, the
Marcellus.
octopus. My favorite line of the whole book is the first line of the book. We do have the ebooks available. If you have a library card, you can check out an ebook, but the audiobook is also fantastic. Marcellus, the octopus, I would describe him as curmudgeonly, and his very first line of the book is, "Darkness suits me." He's pretty fantastic and lovable by the end.
That was the name of Craig Maladra's prom. Anything else for Miss Maxwell? You do extraordinary work. Thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure to see you.
It was a pleasure to see you all. I hope I get to see you at some events upcoming at the library. I hope you
Absolutely.
enjoy your books.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3B, ladies and gentlemen. The National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, otherwise known as MS4, Stormwater Quality Program Update, presented by Eileen Kennedy of Baxter & Woodman Consulting Engineers. First, we'll turn the floor over to our superintendent, Mr. Bob Van Keskum.
Sure. As an introduction, as stated, this is a required discussion or presentation on our anything stormwater related that the city does. It's part of our permit, and I'm pleased tonight to have Eileen with Baxter & Woodman do our presentation. Baxter & Woodman is a consulting engineer that the city works with and has worked with since what I can tell is at least the 1970s. So with that, I will give you Eileen Kennedy.
Good evening, Ms. Kennedy.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I would like to ask how to put the presentation onto the screens.
Yeah, we have no clue. So it's,
Apologies.
I apologize for that.
Hit play in the top left.
I didn't know if it was something special.
Yep, just hit play in the top left.
Oh, up here? All right, sorry about that.
Apologies, I didn't know if there was something specific that needed to be done. Just check. Okay, cool. Cool. Sorry about that. Thank you for having me. My name is Eileen Kennedy. I'm with Baxter Woodman. And as Bob said, I will be presenting on the Stormwater Quality Program here in the city of Geneva. So municipal stormwater runoff can contribute to a variety of pollutants to local surface waters. Specifically here, the Fox River is of great importance as it runs through your city, and different pollutants can cause a variety of water quality impairments. Some of those pollutants include sediments, nutrients, fertilizers and pesticides, metals, bacteria, detergents, and trash and debris. The Stormwater Quality Program is a part of Illinois EPA, and the EPA requires the city to participate and implement best management practices to prevent and reduce pollution to local surface waters. This itself is called the Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer System, or MS4 program. The city complies with the MS4 program permit and participates by including permits for non-authorized stormwater discharges and also authorized controlled discharges on construction sites, as well as participating in the required documentation, which include a stormwater management program plan, which is a rundown of all of the stormwater requirements and implementation of those requirements, the notice of intent, and annual reports. And all of these documents are available on the city's stormwater website. The notice of intent is a document that is required for each permit update, which is normally every 5 years. There is a permit that is in the works currently. The stormwater management program is updated as needed and documents all the overall organization of the MS4 program. And annual reports are also submitted to the Illinois EPA as part of a status update of the implementation and best management practices. There are 6 areas of the best management practices that are also called minimum control measures. They include public education and outreach, public involvement, illicit discharge and detection, construction site stormwater runoff, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention or good housekeeping practices that the Public Works Department follows. A best management practices must be established in each of the 6 categories. Also, a requirement of the permit is water quality monitoring. The city participates in the Fox River Study Group, which collects water samples for quality monitoring on an annual basis, and all of this data is available on the Fox River Study Group website. Additionally, annual employee training is required as part of this permit for fleet and building maintenance, stormwater system maintenance, roadway maintenance, and winter de-icing, which is a hot topic with salt and salt within local water bodies, recognizing hazards associated with illicit discharges, materials handling, spills, and response for waste management. Any contractors that the city uses also needs to have attended a stormwater pollution prevention training. If you have any questions or concerns after this presentation, you can direct them to the Public Works Department at 630-232-1501. Or visit the Public Works Department website to find more information on stormwater program, or if you need to report any illicit discharges as part of that program. As mentioned earlier, there are required documentation as part of this program. The MS4 permit is currently in renewal by the Illinois EPA and is expected in the next year. With the new permit, updates to the city's current stormwater program will need to be made. A new notice of intent will need to be established, as well as updates to the stormwater management program plan. Potential new requirements of this permit are municipal facility stormwater inspections, an annual public education survey, and additional city program tracking for annual reports. Are there any questions at this time?
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Any questions at all for our presenter? Ms. Burghardt.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you back up just this most recent slide? Yeah. So potential new requirements, when you say municipal facility stormwater inspections, would that be like somebody like licensed by the state to come out to municipalities and do inspections, or how's that envisioned potentially?
Thank you for your question. That will be more outlined in the upcoming permit, but it's likely to be an internal inspection done annually and reported annually.
So like each municipality would have to have like a designated inspector who would probably have additional training or something, and they would have to sign off on or issue a new report or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
possibly, yes.
Okay, and that's state legislation that might be coming down the pike?
Yes, this is all from the Illinois EPA.
Okay, very good, thank you.
You know, that's a great question that Ms. Burghardt had. Is that legislatively enacted, or is that through JCAR, or is that
It's through a permit, so it's not.
the permit itself triggers all that?
Yes.
Okay.
The EPA is a regulatory
Right.
system, so it's not like legislative like from IDNR. It's regulatory, so
Got it, okay.
responding to the permit.
Okay. Anyone else from the dais? Mr. Bruno,
Thank you, Mayor.
you haven't been here so long, it doesn't know what to do. It's like-
Not in a while.
Exactly.
So this is stormwater specific. This might be more for Mr. Van Gescam, but the wastewater measurements and events, I know how we track for violations if we overflow in that regard. How is it measured for stormwater runoff? I mean, where do we see? I don't know, but looking to phrase it, how is it documented that there's been some violation of standards?
Sure. I'll get one example would be construction site runoff. So when there is a construction site that is greater than 1 acre in size, then the developer or builder is required to put silt fencing around the site to prevent soil from eroding back into the streets and eventually into the storm system. So that is one way. The other way is we tend to find out illicit discharges from residents or other people who have kind of seen maybe an oil sheen on a pond or something like that. And then we go out and investigate it, document it. That gets included in our annual report. If it is something major, then we would be contacting the Illinois EPA along with Baxter and Woodman for any assistance.
Got it, thanks. And this is probably a little far afield, but our storm sewer or our sewer lining, is that, have we had any seen some measurable impact on that, particularly on the east side?
Well, so you have two separate systems, you know, as you know. We do televise our storm sewer systems along with our sanitary. If we find major defects within the stormwater system, then as money allows, funds allow, then we will make improvements to that storm sewer system. By lining the sanitary, though, it prevents that groundwater from whatever is leaking out of the storm sewer system from getting in the sanitary, which has helped significantly over the years.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Kennedy, thank you very much. Mr. Van Gesken, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, again, no action on this matter, folks, just a presentation as required. We appreciate that very much. Item 4, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments this evening? Item 5 is the omnibus agenda. All items listed with an asterisk on the agenda this evening are considered to be routine by the City Council and can be enacted by one motion. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Mayor makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Bruno makes the second. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Bruno,
Aye.
Berghardt,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks.
Aye.
With 9 votes in the affirmative, 0 votes in the negative, and 1 absent, the omnibus agenda has been approved. We jump to item 10, folks, municipal bills for payment. We kindly ask our city clerk to please read the bills in their aggregate for our consideration.
Total expenditures for the city total $3,592,894.63.
Mayor, I move that we approve and pay the bills as read. The individual items that add up to that amount can be found in tonight's City Council packet on the city website.
Mr. Bruno makes the motion as only he could. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kosarog, not challenging anything Bruno said. Any questions or comments regarding the bills? Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready, please take the roll.
Bruno,
Aye.
Berghardt,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor, Swanson.
Aye.
With a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, the municipal bills have been approved and will be paid within the decade. Don't write that down.
I will. I'll keep it up.
We skip over the committee of the whole items of business. Item 12, presentation of ordinances and resolutions. Item A, consider resolution number 2023-17, authorizing the execution of a temporary construction license agreement with the Union Pacific Railroad. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Marks makes the motion,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bruno. Mr. McCready, is there anything you'd like to launch into here before we take a...
No, I just mentioned I believe we have Director Babica.
Okay, Mr. Babica, do you, sir, want to share anything other than what's available in our packet? And perhaps make mention of this Thursday evening's open house?
I'll give a little brief here. So
Okay.
this is the, as you know, in May 2019, the City Council approved the execution of 3 temporary construction license agreements with the Union Pacific Railroad Company relating to their 3rd mainline railroad track project through the City of Geneva. In order to complete the project, the Union Pacific required the use of certain real estate owned by the City of Geneva to engage in the construction of these activities. The temporary construction licenses set conditions and allowed the Union Pacific to access them. 2 of these agreements were for a 3-year period and renewed in 2022. The 3rd was for a 4th-year period and is set to expire this May. Construction has commenced on the 3rd mainline track, and as such, the Union Pacific needs to execute a new temporary construction license agreement. The city was previously compensated for the 4-year temporary construction license and will be compensated additionally for this one. And again, Director Babica is here with us this evening.
Questions for the director or Mr. McCready? Pretty straightforward. Mr. Bruno.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Babica, the open house this Thursday, is it?
Yes, sir, at Public Works.
At Public Works. Do you know the setup of that? Is that going to be, will there be a particular presentation, or is just representatives available to speak with residents as residents deem?
It is my understanding that it'll be an informal meeting, that the Union Pacific and Metro plan on having various poster boards up showing the project throughout the corridor to City of Geneva, and they'll have their professional staff there to answer any questions of the public.
Thank you. I would recommend for residents that are interested to attend that open house. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, if you're ready, I kindly ask you to take the roll. Thank you, Mr. Babica.
Marks?
Aye.
Mayor? Aye. Swanson?
Aye.
Bruno?
Aye.
Burkhart?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Hilberg?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Maladra?
Aye.
With a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, resolution number 2023-17 has been approved by this City Council. We're at item 13, new business and public comment. We'll reverse that and invite anyone who wishes to make a comment or ask a question. Feel free to do so here in the chamber. From the dais, any new business? Any updates from the girls' basketball game, Dean? Stern look, too. Policy. Was that the buzzer going off on yours, Tara, earlier? We're going to take about a minute to transition. I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn this council meeting. Then we'll begin the committee of the whole meeting. Is there such a motion? Mr. Marks makes that motion. All in favor of adjourning the council meeting, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Give us just a moment to transition over to the committee of the whole. Microphones are off.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. This evening's agenda, let the record show that all members are present except for Ms. Ruby. Item 2, recommend suspending the rules to permit myself, Council Member Kilberg, to chair this meeting and to vote on all action items on this agenda. Is there a motion? Moved by Swanson, seconded by Marks. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Item 3, approve the regular committee of the whole minutes from February 6, 2023 and special committee of the whole minutes from January 9th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Bruno. Seconded by Caven. Voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We have 2 items under new business this evening. First item, consider draft resolution authorizing the purchase of a cardiac monitor from Zoll Mechanical Corporation in the amount of $31,914.66. Is there going to be some commentary on this? No, I'm sorry. Oh. Moved by Mayor, seconded by Caven. Those, go.
Okay. The following item concerns the purchase of one Zoll X Series monitor defibrillator to be placed on the fire department's new Gator utility vehicle. This improvement will allow the vehicle to provide advanced life support and reach difficult to access locations throughout the community. This purchase is grant funded, and joining us this evening is Chief Antonori to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, to the Alderman, are there any questions of the Chief as it relates to this purchase? I think the documentation that was provided is self-explanatory. I think we're ready to vote. Would you please read the roll?
Aye. Mayor? Aye. Swanson?
Aye.
Bruno?
Aye.
Burkhart?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Hilberg?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Maladra?
Aye.
Marks?
Aye.
Carries, it's unanimous. Item B, consider draft resolution authorizing the acceptance of a proposal from Ethos in an amount not to exceed $20,000 for stakeholder facilitation to create a community diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. Is there a motion? Moved by Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Kasserag, I believe. Okay. Would you give us some commentary on
Give a
this?
little commentary here, and I believe we have some people here in the audience to speak as well if you have any questions this evening.
Good.
So in March of 2021, the City Council approved the formation of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force as recommended by the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee. Task Force members appointed in June 2021 convened shortly thereafter and began work to develop a work plan for gathering input and develop a series of recommendations to enhance Geneva's sense of diversity, equity, and inclusion. To facilitate this process, the task force has, with staff support, administered a competitive process to select a firm to assist with facilitating community engagement and develop of the recommendations as part of its plan. The task force is recommending approval of the resolution accepting a proposal from Ethos of Evanston, Illinois. Joining us this evening are members of the task force and HR Generalist Mayor Johnson, who serves as staff liaison to the task force. So if you have any questions, I would invite our task force members to answer those or join us at the podium.
Good. You
Hello.
can come forward.
Thank you for having us today.
Yeah. For the record, why didn't we introduce ourselves first? It'd be helpful.
Of course, my name is Ashley Newsa Erickson. I'm currently the chair of the DEI.
Sure, and I'm Lisa Cervank. I'm a task force member with a lot of industry expertise. I do this for a living as well, so I'm joining as a project manager of the project.
Lisa also led the subcommittee which selected the candidates for the RFP and constructed the RFP with Mira. She was also part of the interview process for the RFP and eventually selecting the recommendation for Ethos.
Good. So, I'm sure there might be a few questions. Who's going to go first? Oh, is
We
there
do.
a presentation?
We do have a presentation.
Oh,
If there's
okay.
questions to begin, we can certainly take
Didn't
those
realize
now.
that.
Otherwise, we do have a formal presentation with more information.
Why don't we go with the presentation? I'm sorry.
No problem. So again, we'd like to thank you guys for your time tonight. We have experienced a lot with the DEI, and as Ben said, we've been meeting for about the last year and a half or so. Just as a little bit of a review for DEI and what we've been doing. We do meet with key stakeholders within the community at each of our meetings. We've been selecting various community members, church organizations, education leaders, nonprofit organizations to come and speak with us. For the time that we've been meeting as a group, we have identified several themes with relation to DEI that we've isolated. We've isolated some recommendations potentially to recommend to the city. We have gone through a lot of work that we've done at this point in the data collection that we've been collecting in the time that we've been meeting. We would like to move forward with creating a very specific data-driven resource strategic plan, which is part of what we do want to do as DEI as the task force. So that's what we're asking for today, to kind of move to the next step of the investigation process that we're looking for DEI. What we have done so far is we created an RFP for the DEI, for a DEI facilitator, and we had 6 respondents. Of those 6, 3 were isolated, having the better recommendations of what we were looking for, and interviews were conducted. Of those 3, we did select one company that was mostly based on the budget that we had, and when we actually went back to Ethos, who is the proposal that we'd like to talk about today, they were far over budget. They were almost 4 times what the budget for the DEI was. However, when Ethos was approached and we were told, unfortunately, you're too far out of our budget, but we appreciated your scope, they worked with the city and they were willing to actually come down to our budget to provide the initial scope, which was almost 4 times more than what we were given, to provide the same scope for the $20,000 what we're asking for. So as we go through the presentation tonight, please do keep that in mind. What we're looking for from Ethos is far exceeding what we can actually handle for the budget that we propose to them. As a little bit of a side note, part of the reason that may happen is actually because an employee of Ethos grew up in Geneva, have a little bit of soft spot for it. And again, that just kind of speaks to the character of Geneva, of how far-reaching everyone feels about Geneva. There we go. So I think I went through some of that already. We did have 6 responses. One of them was local. Our budget was $20,000. We talked about that. This is Lisa, and Janine also worked as a subcommittee for the DEI, working with the RFP respondents. to find out which one would work best for us. The Ethos project team, Ethos is a very large company. They have a lot of facilitations. We have a slide later on that actually identifies more specifically who some of their clients are. They have Fortune 500 companies as their clients and also cities just like Geneva. They have a wide range of organizations that they work for and a large team that would be working with us to work on this strategic plan. As I said, some of their clients are like Aldi, the City of Chicago, the Met. They have a lot of nonprofit organizations as well as Fortune 500.
Oh, sure. So essentially, as we were going through the various proposals, there was a deep level of expertise that they were able to demonstrate. So Alita, who wrote The Cultures of Belonging, is who I've been dealing with, and she's the founder and CEO and is a wonderful human and is very much invested in this project, I would say. So one thing where I think their prowess really will come in handy is in dealing with corporate situations where they have very good project management. And the timeline will basically, like any project, will be the ones that will probably hold things up, not them. So they fully committed to this. And one piece that's extremely valuable that our own task force was looking for was a local consulting firm that could actually come in person to facilitate these sessions. We will make it accessible and inclusive by offering it online as well for people to join, but we felt it was important if we could have these folks come in person because this is what they do and what they're good at, that it would make our residents feel more comfortable if they had someone that would come in person. So they are bringing their team, and we have a detailed plan in terms of the data collection that they'll be doing, but it's very comprehensive and it will be done in person, which is preferable. So essentially, you can see the kickoff here. It goes from, if all goes well, beginning of March, and we'll be able to wrap it up in October, if not sooner. So essentially, over the next 8 months, we will go through a very detailed plan that's been laid out, and the piece that we really want to emphasize is the expertise in the data collection. This is a very comprehensive and I would say responsible plan for finding out what all the stakeholders in Geneva have to say. Because we as a task force were able to do a little light exploration in this area, but by no means had the expertise or bandwidth to find out what all of Geneva thinks about these things. And we really feel it's critical that when we come and present the plan, it's not our plan, it's Geneva's residents' plan. So again, I was more than thrilled that they came down from over $100,000 to our $20,000 budget, and really blown away by how they detailed all of their services. So we should feel very lucky to have this in front of us. So essentially, I'm not going to get into this in detail, but they have a work plan. There are a lot of responsibilities that I will have to take on, that Ashley will take on, that Janine will take on, that Mira will take on, because it's a pretty massive project. It's as if it was like a corporate big scale project that had a $100,000 budget. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So we've all committed to doing this because we believe it's the right thing to do, and that we can face our constituents in Geneva and say we did the very best job we could. So a lot of it will be the data collection. And not only will they collect the data, they will work with us to figure out how to do focus groups, interviews, surveys, to get as much data as we can, qualitative and quantitative. Janine will actually help with that as well. And then they're going to really help us package it so that we can present it back in a very visual way that's digestible and that people in the community can understand. And then what's great is they will help us boil down what is really going on. And one of the things that we've talked about extensively is the city of Geneva in terms of what Mira does, and the city itself may need to be a priority. Because if we're purporting to do this for our residents, we sort of have to do, walk the walk and do it as an organization, as an employer, as the city ourselves. So there's lots of things that they'll do in terms of showing us other plans they've worked on, best practices, comparisons, all of that sort of thing to help us benchmark things and be very realistic about what we do. And then They will actually come up with a strategic plan that we will work closely with them, but it's going to be 5 to 10 pages. We want this to not be some huge document that sits on the shelf that no one can understand or use. We want it to be very actionable, and then that also includes a presentation to whomever we need to present to, so that everyone understands what we've created to all the stakeholders. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, questions? Amy?
I just want to say that I was really impressed with the RFP response, and I think that this presentation was really well done, and I know you guys are volunteers, so just wanted to thank you for doing this for Geneva, because, you know, I work for a company that has been undergoing DEI work very intensively for the past probably 10 years now, and the value that it brings and the way that it makes the employees feel about how the company feels about them, and the importance of the engagement around these issues is really important. And I'm very pleased that you guys got such a great response from Ethos. It looked super comprehensive, so good job.
Right?
Thank you. I just wanted to say I'm very excited that we're getting to this phase. It's been a tough nut to crack, and I'm personally very hopeful and excited about moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
I had a couple questions. What is our exposure beyond $20,000 for this study? I saw a reference to $350 an hour. Could you explain that a little bit more for us?
Sure. I think that goes more into the execution phase. So we want to establish a long-term partnership with Ethos.
Okay.
So everything was within scope of the 20,000. That was just to be very transparent that if we want to engage them, let's say, as we start to execute on this, that is their typical fee. But it would not be anything that we'd have to, there's no change orders coming. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, this is all budgeted for.
As you look at the proposal, there's a lot of hours that are committed to this project on the part of the vendor, and you know, that's a deep discount. I guess when you see that type of a discount, you sort of question, you know, is it that good?
Sure.
And I guess my question is there other funding sources that they might be tapping into here because of the nature of the subject?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
mean, transparently, I think it was Geneva. Anecdotally, I think a lot of other towns have been surprised that we're doing this. It's still very cutting edge, and they want to be, it's their brand, right? It's their business. And so I think they want to be associated with a town like Geneva, who might not be, you know, the most obvious in need of something like this, but that's the entire point, right, to reveal all of that. They want to be associated with it. And Karen, who grew up here, is biracial, and she felt like it was near and dear to her heart. And the founder told me personally that she needs to keep her best employee happy. Okay. And she called her after the presentation and said, like, I'll be very disappointed if we don't get this work and I don't get to run it.
Oh, good.
So that's the truth.
Yeah. And I guess my last question, do you expect to see some challenges in getting the right participants involved in this study? I think, you know, we don't want a situation where it's those people that are passionate about it already. In other words,
Yes.
we don't want to be, you know, lecturing to the choir.
Yes.
You know.
I think that's part of the reason we're so eager for a facilitator. We do have at our DEI meetings kind of regular citizens that come and speak to us, and that's why I think we're looking for what can we bring in professionally to capture what we're missing and to bring the community together in a larger way. On DEI, we do have Lisa, who professionally works in the DEI field. We also have a doctor that works in education. We have several people in the DEI that are very focused on doing things the right way. And at this point, in what we've been conducting ourselves, we really feel like we do need that next level of community engagement, of having good data, of having quantifiable data, and bringing in as many people as possible. So it's not the same faces, and it's not just pinpointed faces either. We really want to have something that's comprehensive and inclusive that we can come back and present to you, and we can have everything will be challenged, but we can fully defend what we're doing because it's thorough and quantitative.
Good.
Yeah, it's a twofold concern that's incredibly valid. And so one of the things we'll have to look at are people that might want to work in Geneva, right? Not just residents, but what do they think? What might be a hindrance to them wanting to come work here? So that's a really big one. And then also meeting Genevans where they are in terms of not trying to be Evanston or not trying to be the city of Chicago, but who are we really? And what would be most appropriate for us. And that's what we feel like, that dual expertise where they know where to find the missing sort of voices that we can't so easily find.
Good. And I guess my last question would be, did you have an opportunity to look at some of their outcomes and some of their results with other municipalities or something comparable to what they might be undertaking here?
Yes, absolutely. And including today, I asked them for all kinds of examples. One of the things they do that I was really impressed with is they do return on investment model as part of all of this. So, how do you know that what you put into it, you're going to get out of it? What do you focus on? And they've done that. And so they detailed for me various people they've worked with and all kinds of actual hard numbers and case studies. So I think it's pretty comprehensive, and I feel very confident that this isn't just sort of in theory what they think they can do, but they've already proven they can do it, and when they've met resistance too.
Good. I would only suggest that they make it a point to interview some of the charities that service the Tri-Cities, like Tri-City Family Services, Tri-City Health Services, Lazarus House possibly, and there's others too. I think that they can give you some insight into their observations and some of the people that they interact with that might be, I don't know, for lack of a better word, victimized by discrimination.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think that's important, and I think they can give you maybe a perspective that maybe a lot of us aren't necessarily exposed to. So again, thank you for your service, and I know it's an important step in your journey to bring this to some type of a conclusion that the city can benefit from. So, is there anything else? Anyone else? Brad?
Not necessarily on topic, but if I'm not wrong, you were rushing to the hospital when you came in front of us last time.
I was, yes.
How did everything go?
It went well. Last time I presented to you, I had just had my twins. They were 15 weeks early. Unfortunately, my son did pass away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We got 13 wonderful days with him. And, my daughter just came home about 10 days ago. And she's doing really well. She's almost 7 pounds. She doesn't have any comorbid diagnoses at this point. She's very healthy. She's very strong. She's on oxygen. She's taking her full bottles. She's very neurotypical. So she's doing very well. Thank you for asking.
And Ashley's not skipped a beat. I mean, we owe her. I can't even imagine.
I feel like that. I feel the dedication coming from you.
Thank you.
And it's definitely acknowledged the passion that you're bringing to this and the dedication to this task force. So much appreciated. I'm sorry to hear about.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is a topic I'm very passionate about. When I was growing up, I'll just share when I was in high school, I won a debate against gay marriage. And then I went to college and the world became a different place. This is a topic I'm very, very passionate about.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Would you please introduce your other committee member, I believe, that's with us this evening?
Yes.
We have several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name's Janine McMillan.
Good. Okay.
Janine
Sure.
also interviewed the RFPs as well. She worked with
Okay.
us.
Good.
Okay.
We'll get your name in the record. in a positive way.
Okay. I'm Greg Albert.
Thank you for your volunteering and your support of this effort.
Yeah. Thank you for your support.
You bet.
Good evening, and I'm Silva Gramlich, and I thank all of you for listening to our presentation. We really appreciate your support and some of the things that you've said tonight. It's been one of my greatest experiences to work with this team, and I look forward to continue to working with them.
Thanks to all of you for coming out tonight. Okay.
I wanted to make one comment.
Sure.
I just want to thank you all for being very patient with us. One thing that I don't think people recognize is how incredibly slow DEIB work is. And a lot of times organizations are expecting fast results. They want answers now. They want to know about outcomes before anyone's even begun. DEIB work is slow. And so even though we started in 2021 and we're just now getting that consultant, we recognize how far we've actually come, even to get to this point. So I'm really excited to see where the next 2 months and 2 years and 20 years takes us. I'm hoping someday maybe my children will stay here and live here, and I'm hoping that that next generation has a place to live that feels truly inclusive and welcome. And it's going to take time, but we're here and we're not going anywhere. So I just wanted to make sure to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to recognize and thank Mira. She has been amazing. She's been so helpful, and she really needs to be recognized. And we thank you for letting us work with us, because she has a lot of insight that can help us sometimes to rein us in.
Thank you for those. Thank you for those comments. Okay, that brings us to item 5, public comment. Oh, that's right. We better take action, right? Would you please read the roll? You were so convincing, I didn't think there'd be any opposition.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Bruno,
Aye.
Burkhart,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks.
Aye. Item 5 now, public comment and new business. Is there anything to bring before the committee? If not, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brad.
One quick thing. I got a message that said Geneva girls won by over 40 points tonight. So good for them. Congratulations.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, let the record show that he's violating the public trust by using his phone during the meeting.
Your policy violation.
This was sent by pigeon, is that?
Oh, was that? That's fine.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Marks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.